There's a very specific trend happening over at HBO, and we need to talk about it. When Game of Thrones dropped its first season, it changed television forever. It was a masterpiece of world building. Then people doubted the spin off. But when the House of the Dragon season 1 dropped, it was an absolute triumph that pulled everyone right back in. So, does A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms keep the streak alive? Or is it the franchise finally running out of gas? I've watched the whole thing, and here is my completely spoiler free review. First, you have to understand what this show actually is. If you're going into this expecting massive dragon battles and armies of thousands clashing on an open field, you need to adjust your expectations. This is not Game of Thrones, and this is not House of the Dragon. The story is grounded. It follows Sir Duncan the Tall, a massive, inexperienced hedge knight, and his small, bald squire named Egg, who's an absolute charm. We are dealing with the dirt, the mud, and the everyday life of the Seven Kingdoms. It's a road trip story mixed with the classic Knight's Tale set decades before Daenerys was even born. And honestly, that smaller scale is exactly what the franchise needed. The entire show lives and dies on the chemistry between Dunk and Egg, and they absolutely nailed it. You genuinely care about these two within the first few interactions. Dunk is a guy who's trying so hard to be honorable in a world that completely punishes honor, and Egg brings this sharp, almost arrogant wit that balances out Dunk's brute strength. Because the stakes are smaller, the tension is actually higher. When Dunk gets into a physical brawl or joust, you feel every single hit. The world feels incredibly dangerous precisely because our main character doesn't have an army or a dragon to protect him. He just has a sword and a lot of heart. But it is not flawless. We have to talk about how this show starts. If there's one major weakness here, it's episode 1 and 2. They are slow, very slow. And honestly, they feel a bit random. In a world where people don't have patience anymore, the show takes its sweet time setting up who these characters are and where they are going, but it lacks a strong driving hook right out of the gate. You might find yourself halfway through the second episode wondering, wait, what is actually the plot of this show? If you have a short attention span, those first 2 hours are going to test your patience. It feels like they're just wandering around waiting for the story to actually begin. But I am begging you, push through those first 2 episodes because when the story finally kicks into gear in episode 3, it does not stop. Once the main conflict is established and the Targaryen royals get involved, the show transforms into an absolute powerhouse of political tension and brutal consequences. The payoff for the slow build up is immense. It reminds you exactly why George R. R. Martin is a genius. He can make a simple dispute at a jousting tournament feel just as world ending and stressful as the Red Wedding. So, does it keep the season 1 streak alive? Absolutely. Once you get past the clunky random start of the first 2 episodes, you are rewarded with one of the most character driven, heartfelt, and intense stories HBO has ever told in this universe. It proves that you don't need dragons to make Westeros captivating. You just need great writing, and that should be learned by a lot of writers today. I'm giving A Night of the Seven Kingdoms Season 1 a massive 9 out of 10. Ultimately, this show proves that you don't need massive CGI budget and dozens of dragons to tell a gripping story in Westeros. By stripping away the epic scale, we get a beautifully intimate adventure that feels both fresh and incredibly nostalgic. Yes, those first couple of hours demand your patience, but the emotional payoff and the brilliant dynamic between Dunk and Egg make this an absolute must watch. HBO caught lightning in a bottle for the third time in a row. So, guys, have you checked it out yet? Did you find the beginning too slow, or did you love the slow pace? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more honest, filler free reviews, hit that like button and subscribe to stay in the pop room. I'll see you in the next one.